Okay, so Lauren is a man. Everyone thinks he's a woman because his name is Lauren, but it's spelled the male name, or the male way. It's Loren, Loren instead of, what is it, Lauren? And Lauren is also white. Primary English language is English. For purposes of this, we're going to give him all zeros for birth date. Obviously, we're going to fill this out correctly for your own situation. Lauren is not a tribal member. Next, do you know Lauren's date of birth? Let's see if it'll accept that. It might not like that. No, it doesn't like that. Okay, so I have to give Lauren a date of birth for this situation. I'm totally going to forget what date of birth I gave him. Let's say that he was born November 1st of 1980. There we go. Now it should like this. Haha, yes it does. Next. Okay, do you know Lauren's social security number? Yes, and here we go. This is another one of those ones where you're not going to be able to see the social security number as you're typing it, so make sure you type it correctly, and then you're going to retype it, and the system's going to make sure that you typed the same number. Do you have Lauren's driver's license? No, I don't have his driver's license number. Next, and then we're going to give all the phone numbers. You're going to give all the phone numbers that you have for the other party. We're going to say that I just have Lauren's phone number and that's what it is. And if there are best times to call him, then you'd want to, or call the party. In your case, you're going to want to fill that out. And if you have the email address of the other party, you're going to fill that in there. Save it and do next. Do you know Lauren's current address? And I'm going to say yes. Next, what is Lauren's current home address? And it's not my office address, not my address, so we're going to say another address. And is it in the US? Yep. And next. And then let's say that Lauren lives at 123 Church Street. You know, because I'm so original. He's also in Susanville, California. And we know what the zip code is here. It's 96130. That's no secret. We're going to save this. And next, have you and Lauren ever lived together? I'm going to say yes. And if yes, provide the following information. Dates you last lived together. So it wants to know, when did we start living together? And when did we stop living together? And so fill this out as best you can for your situation. So let's see. Say that Lauren and I started living together on his birthday in 2011. And let's say that we stopped living together August 1st of 2021. Address you last lived at. Let's say we lived at his place on Church Street, his current place, and we're going to go next. Is Lauren Keeney currently self-employed? Yep. And if yes, can you provide information about Lauren's business? Yep. And so can you provide information about the following details about Lauren? Name of business, address of business, Lauren Keeney's gross monthly earnings. So it's not uncommon not to have all of this information. So I'm actually going to say no, I can't provide it, and we'll see how the documents come out. But if I could provide it, if you can provide it, click yes, and then fill out all the information that you can. So I'm pretty sure what would happen is I'd click the boxes of the information that I could provide. We'll go back. Oh, nope, we don't want to do that. Okay, so here it is. If I'd clicked yes, I'd click all the boxes for the information that I could provide. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure that when I click next, it will take me to a screen that asks me to fill out details about each of those categories. But we're going to say no. Save. Next. Is Lauren Keeney currently employed? Yeah, I thought we just answered that. Okay, we're going to save that and see what the last one said. Oh, is he self-employed? Gotcha. So this one is he self-employed? This next one would be if he weren't self-employed. Should ask, is he employed other than self-employed? But again, they didn't ask me, so it is what it is. Nope, he's just self-employed. If we said yes, then they're going to want information, can we provide information about his employer, just like we saw for the self-employment. Okay, but we're going to say no, and we're going to go next. Can you estimate Lauren Keeney's gross monthly earnings? I'm going to say yes. And so gross earnings are before taxes are withheld, before, retirement's withheld, Medicare, health insurance. Gross is what you make before anything is withheld. And people often say things like, but that's not what I actually take home. Yes, we know that. But the law requires that we set support based on gross income, and then we enter certain allowable expenses into the calculation and certain information, and the calculator will calculate the tax consequences of all of that, figure out what your net income really should be, and set support. So let's say that Lauren makes $5,000 per month gross. And what is his usual occupation, trade, jobs, title, or skills? We're going to say that he's a logger and a trucker. And then we'll save. Does Lauren Keeney provide insurance, not Medi-Cal, for the children or you? And we're going to say yes. So if Lauren only provided Medi-Cal, we would say no. But he provides something other than Medi-Cal, so we're going to say yes. He only provides health, no dental, no vision. Pay out of pocket for that. But if that weren't the case, we would check dental or vision. You're going to check what applies to you. Click Next. According to the information you have provided, health insurance for you or the children is provided by Lauren Keeney. Provide the insurance company's name. And we're going to say it's Great Health. And their address is 123 Insurance Way. And they are in Reno, Nevada. We're going to have to scroll down to Nevada because it brought up Nebraska. And going to enter, the actual information. Let's see. We're going to do 775 because that's the area code for Reno. Okay, again, you're going to fill that all out properly with your information. According to the information you have provided, you're not married to Lauren. What is Lauren's current marital status? So you're going to fill this out for the other party in your case. And we're going to say that he's married. And can you provide any information about Lauren's current spouse? I'm going to say yes. And I can provide name, address. I don't know her phone number though. And we're going to click Next. So what shall Lauren's spouse's name be? Lauren is married to Tina Keeney, and she lives with Lauren on Church Street. But if it was a different address, we'd click there and then we'd fill it out. Okay, so you're going to fill this out as it applies to your case. And click Next. According to the information you have provided, Lauren Keeney is currently self-employed. To try your best to provide as much information as possible about Lauren Keeney's other sources of income. The more information, the faster child support order can be obtained. So does Lauren have any other sources of income? Yeah, let's say that he is in the Air Force Reserves. Can you estimate Lauren Keeney's gross monthly income from those sources? And if there were other sources, I would put those in there. But we're going to say yes, and we're going to say that he gets $1,500 a month from the Air Force Reserves. Fill this out for your situation, of course. You've said Lauren Keeney has the following sources of income. Estimated monthly earnings of $5,000. Self-employment estimated earnings of unknown. Well, how did that turn out that way? Other sources, estimated gross monthly income, $1,500. Okay, so this $5,000 a month should be here in self-employment income. So now we're going to go back and I'm going to use this navigation panel on the left to try to go back and figure out where I entered the wrong self-employment income in the wrong spot. So self-employment, he's currently self-employed. Can you provide information about his business? Okay, so because I said no, I couldn't provide information about his business, it didn't give me anywhere to enter his gross monthly earnings. So if you're dealing with a self-employed person and you know what their gross monthly earnings are, you're going to click yes, and then you're going to click the box for gross monthly earnings. Okay, so we're going to say next. We're going to say he makes $5,000 a month gross. And, you know, we have a video about filling out an income and expense declaration for a self-employed party. And so if you want more information about how to, how to determine how much a self-employed party makes, then you can go watch that video about filling out an income and expense declaration for a self-employed party. But in short, the gross monthly income of a self-employed party is not all of the money that their business brings in. So, yeah, it's going to require either looking at their profit and loss or looking at a tax return to figure out what their gross monthly income is. But basically, their gross monthly income is what they earned before business expenses minus their business expenses. But it's not including the health insurance. It's not including, any employment taxes that they need to be paying. It's not including the estimated taxes that they're paying quarterly. So it's, gross receipts minus like advertising and computer software, except for here I said Lauren is a logger and a trucker. So let me tell you, he has a lot of gas expenses for his business, and he's got some equipment expenses, and he's got some equipment repair expenses, and he's got to buy material. And so I'm going to take all of that into consideration when I determine what Lauren's gross monthly income is. And I did, and I think that he makes $5,000 per month after his business expenses, but before those things that we discussed that we're not counting. It wants to know if I know what his gross monthly earnings are, and we already know that if we put an amount here in this section for a self-employed person, it's going to appear like it's regular employment income, and we don't want that because that'll make our, that'll throw things off. So we're going to save this. Apparently it's not going to let me tell them that he's a logger or a trucker either. Okay, so I can say no. Estimated gross monthly income for Lauren, I don't know what it is. But I can still tell them that he's a logger and a trucker. Okay, so now we're going to go back. We're going to try to get back to where we were. So we're just navigating through. I don't remember what screen we were on. Okay, his current wife. Okay, this was his additional income from the Air Force Reserves. Going to go next. Okay, now here we are. Lauren, this is where we left off. Lauren Keeney, gross monthly income, basis for estimation. You've said Lauren Keeney has the following sources of income. Estimated gross monthly earnings, unknown. Self-employment, and that's because he isn't a regular employee. He's self-employed. Now, if Lauren's business were a corporation, not an S corp, but just a corporation, and he were paid as an employee, then I would have entered his earnings here. But for purposes of this example, Lauren is self-employed. He's not employed by a corporation. And then he's got other gross monthly income of $1,500. And so now we're going to explain how we arrived at this number. So I'm going to say I saw his profit and loss statements when we were together. So I have an idea what his business brings in, and spends in expenses each month. I saw his Air Force Reserve check once before. We're going to say I saw it once just before we broke up. There we go. And so I'm going to save that and move on. Determining the biological father of the children, paternity is necessary before child support can be ordered by the court. Paternity provides the same legal rights to a child as of unwed parents as to a child born to married parents. These rights include financial support for both parents, legal documentation of the identity of the children's parents, access to family medical history in order to learn of diseases, illness, congenital, birth, disabilities, and other health issues that may be passed on by parents. I got news for you. The department isn't sending anybody information, the department being DCSS, about anyone's health problems. So literally establishing parentage through the court, on your own, in a private action, or through DCSS is not magically going to result in anybody knowing the family history of any of the parents. And I mean, knowing for sure that you're genetically related to your parents as a kid gives you the ability to ask them about the family medical history so that you can learn these things. But there's nothing about the DCSS process or a private parentage action that is going to magically reveal the medical history of either party. Medical history is protected. And so unless it is material to the case and a party provides the information as part of the case, say in a response or to the court, and you know, we can go into this in greater detail in another video, or in a private action, if the parent alleges they can't work because they're disabled, then, you know, the parent seeking support or the parent wanting income imputed to that parent might want to subpoena some medical records or propound some discovery to find out what the source of that disability is. But that's a topic for a different video. Knowing that you're genetically related to somebody is definitely important so that you can find out about your family medical history. This process is not going to make it so that you automatically find out about your family medical history or your kid's family medical history. It's still important, but yeah, I digress. So other rights that parentage is going to include is medical and life insurance from either parent if available, inheritance rights, social security and veterans benefits if available. An unwed father can have his name added to the child's birth certificate. And so, you know, stuff like life insurance, you know, I don't frequently deal with life insurance in my DCSS child support cases. That's not to say that it's not ever dealt with, but in my caseload, we don't deal with it. In my private practice, when there are child support and spousal support orders, we definitely deal with life insurance. So yeah, again, not all of this is going to be automatic, but establishing paternity or parentage is going to open up the door to these rights. Please note the following terms which are used in this program. Birth parent, the parent who gave birth to the children. In this case, that's me. I'm mom. The other parent, the only other genetic parent besides the birth parent or the intended parent under an agreement for assisted reproduction to conceive children. So let's say that Lauren and I couldn't naturally conceive children and we used a surrogate. Let's say IVF wouldn't work for us either. So we used a surrogate. We can still be the parents because we were the intended parents of that surrogate, and there's an agreement for assisted reproduction. to conceive the child or the children. So in our hypothetical, that's not what's going on, but that's the explanation. Okay, but in this case, I'm the birth parent. We're going to move on. Have you ever worked in California? Yes, I sure have. When did you last work in California? Well, I still work in California, so I'm going to say today's date. Oh, it's the 11th. I got those numbers backward. And where did you work? I'm going to say that I'm an attorney and I work for law office of Jessica Ryan Keeney. Hey, look at that. I'm self-employed like Lauren is. Now we're going to say next. And approximate date when Lauren Keeney Jr. was conceived. Geez, I don't remember because I don't remember when we said his birthday was. This for a hypothetical, I would know the answer. So let's go back and check out his birth date. Okay, I need to write some notes here. Lauren Jr. was born on New Year's Day of 2015, so he would have been conceived in 2014, 9 months prior. He was conceived April 5th of 2014. I think the math works out. And do you know where Lauren Jr. was conceived? So this all sounds super duper nosy, but it's important. So the date of conception is important for a couple reasons. If you and the other parent were married or are currently married, and the department and the court need to know if the child was conceived and then born during the marriage. And if you weren't married, then we still need an approximation of when the child was conceived, because, I could say Lauren Jr. was conceived in California, and Lauren Sr. could be like, yeah, that didn't happen. I wasn't in California the entire month of April. I was deployed the entire month, and I was in Finland the entire month. So either the date of conception is wrong or that kid's not mine. And either one is entirely possible. And I've actually never seen the date of conception come out on a court form, but that is why that date is important. So do you know where Lauren Jr. was conceived? Yes, the child was conceived in the United States. Child was conceived outside the United States. I don't know. Okay, but in this case, I know. So fill that out properly for you. In what state was Lauren Keeney Jr. conceived? I'm going to say he was conceived in California. In what city was he conceived? Well, Susanville, of course. And so the state of conception is important. Also, in some court cases, you need to fill out what we call a UCC JEA. And I'm guessing that this information, if we had to do a UCC JEA in our case, would auto-populate in that UCC JEA. But where the child was conceived is also important for jurisdictional purposes. So let's say that Lauren didn't live in California. Let's say that Lauren lived in Nevada, and California needs to have jurisdiction over Lauren in order to open the case. And so one of the ways California can have jurisdiction over Lauren to open the case is if the child was conceived in California. But if I live in California, Lauren doesn't live in California, the child wasn't conceived in California, Lauren never consented to the child living in California, then California may not have jurisdiction over Lauren. We'd have to look at the facts and noodle through it. Again, a topic for another day. And oh boy, is it a topic for another day, because it can be quite long. But anyway, in this case, Lauren lives in California. I live in California. Child was conceived in California. Rock on. Were you and Lauren married when Lauren Keeney Jr. was conceived or born? So I'm going to say no, but if I was married, what's going to say if it says I was married? I'm guessing it's going to want to know who I was married to. So it's possible to be married to one person and conceive a child by another person, and there's a presumption that a child born and conceived during the marriage to parents who aren't sterile is the child of that marriage, even if the child is genetically related to somebody else. So this question is to help try to figure that out, and also, to figure out if Lauren Jr. was conceived during the marriage. Because if the children were conceived during the marriage, then paternity has already been established by the presumption, and the department doesn't need to establish parentage, and they can mark parentage as established in their system, and it helps things in the system. CSE, Child Support Enforcement System, that's what it stands for, will sort the information properly based on your answers to these questions. So is the other parent the genetic parent of Lauren Jr.? Yes. In this situation, Lauren and I weren't married. Other parent, Lauren Sr. Is Lauren Jr.'s parent? Yes. Was Lauren Jr. conceived by egg or sperm donation? Nope. But if he were, I'd of course need to answer honestly. Was Lauren Jr. conceived by surrogacy? Nope. I know that we did talk about how surrogacy affects being the parents and being the other parent. But for the sake of this example, none of the children were conceived by surrogacy. Saved that. Gonna move on. Are there any court orders, divorce order, adoption decree, parentage, or support orders naming the legal parents of Lauren Jr.? No. And this is important because if there are orders that name Lauren Jr.'s parent, then DCSS doesn't need to establish parentage. But let's click yes, just so that we can see what happens. So if there were, and in your case, if there are court orders that establish parentage for the children, then you're going to click yes, and this information is going to come out. You're going to need to fill it out. The name of the court that established the order, the location of the court that established the order, the court case number, the date of the court order, and check here if you need to list additional orders. Check here if you want to provide additional information about the parentage judgment. So now you know what that looks like. What if you don't know your case number? What if you don't know the date of the court order? Well, I guess you'd have a problem filling that out. Let's see what happens if we check here. So let's say that I don't know the case number and I don't know the date of the court order. I would encourage you to go pull a copy of the judgment that establishes parentage so that you can get the case number and the date of the court order. If you don't have a copy of that judgment, I'd encourage you to see if you can go online to your court's online portal and pull the case and see if you can get that information. These asterisks indicate that it's required information, so we're not going to be able to go on if we don't have this information, but I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I can't continue with this process of getting the case open just because I don't have those two pieces of information. So if you can't find those two pieces of information right now, I would just do all zeros. Oh, it's going to make us do a date. It's going to make us do an actual date like it did before. Let's say I think that it's June 3rd, of 2022. And then down here, I would write a note that I don't know the case number right now. I tried to look it up, and I'm not actually sure of the court order date. I tried to look it up, but I think that we got it in June. When and if I find the information, I will bring it to the department, and I would put that all here in this box. And then I'd say, go to the court, pull your file, get a copy of that judgment, get it to the Department of Child Support Services. Now, DCSS does have the ability to ask their local court to send a copy of your judgment from another case, but if you don't know the case number, it might be a little bit difficult for them to get that. So do the best you can to get that information. Okay, but in this hypothetical, we don't have an order establishing parentage. So there we go, and we're going to move on.